Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and streaming audience. I would like to welcome you to the June 25th City Council meeting. We have 12 items on our agenda this evening. We're here in council chambers, open to the public attendance, and streaming live on YouTube. Moving forward, if you would, Ms. Moss, please continue with the roll call of our members.
Oh, got it. There we go. Anthony Phillips.
Yes.
Payne. Nickerson.
Here.
Farrow. Henderson.
Here.
Park. Preston. Greg Phillips.
Here.
Prohl.
Here.
Do we have a motion to excuse the missing members from the meeting tonight?
It was red.
Mr. Phillips, motion by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Ms. Park. Roll call on the motion.
Anthony Phillips.
Yes.
Nickerson.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
Greg Phillips.
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The motion is passed. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, everyone. The minutes from the previous meeting have been distributed for review. If we have any additions or corrections to the minutes, and if not, do we have a motion to accept the minutes as they are? I have a motion from Ms. Henderson, seconded by Mr. Phillips. Roll call on the motion to accept the minutes.
Anthony Phillips.
Yes.
Nickerson.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
Greg Phillips.
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The minutes have been accepted. We will now move to reports from the committees, and we'll begin with our Community Affair Committee. Mr. Greg Phillips.
Thank you, President Geringer. On this evening's agenda, Community Affairs does have the first item. Is it a third read? And it does read as such: an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into agreement with the Hope Partnership and appropriating $20,000. Also, just had a 6:35 Community Affairs meeting on 22-083, which is dealing with a TNR, which is trap, neuter, and release of feral cats. And so we just listened kind of to the pitch on that and what that would entail, what they're asking the city to kind of enter into an agreement with, and to what benefit that would be. That will still be ongoing conversations, especially on the funding portion, but we just wanted to go ahead and kind of get some information on that. And that being said, I am going to also ask that we would move into executive session at some point during council meeting for pending litigation when that time best suits.
Is that a motion then to go to executive session?
I mean, no,
No?
we usually wait till the end so that we can clear the room, but I just wanted to go ahead and... Okay, so do we want to go ahead and move into... Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask then we go ahead and move into executive session at this time.
Seconded by Mr. Prohl. Roll call on the motion.
Okay, so I'm going to ask that we go into executive session at this time to discuss pending litigation, and we want to go ahead and second that again.
Seconded by
Or make a
Mr.
motion.
Kroll. Roll call on the motion.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Moving to executive session.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to bring us back from executive session.
Motion by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Ms. Henderson. Roll call on the motion to return from executive session.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
The motion is passed. We'll now move on to Human Resources Committee. In the absence of Ms. Payne, does anyone from that committee have any items to report? We'll next move to the Development Committee. Ms. Nickerson.
Thank you, President Geringer. Development just has one item on the agenda tonight, number 2, for a third read. Resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds for $7,709 as participating local funds for the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, and declaring an emergency. So that just means after it passes tonight, it'll go into effect immediately. And that's all we have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, our Finance Committee with Mr. Tony Phillips.
Thank you, President Geringer. Finance has 2 items on the agenda. Number 9 is the first read, excuse me, of an ordinance appropriating $12,265.36 in insurance funds received as security for a structure fire at 97 King Street. We're declaring an emergency, and at the appropriate time, I will be asking to waive the 3-read rule. The second item, number 10, is the same situation. We have another ordinance appropriating $32,000 in insurance funds received as a security as the result of a structure fire at 382 South Macarthur Street in Chillicothe. Also declaring an emergency, and I will be asking council to waive the 3-read rule at the appropriate time. In those situations, the homeowner has met the requirements, and the appropriate city department is asking that we get those funds to the homeowners as soon as possible. We also had 4 committee meetings tonight, 2 of which were for those 2 items there. We also had another committee meeting with assignment 22-090, appropriation of funds and salaries. A standard thing that's done every year to cover the extra expense of salaries incurred. That was approved by all 3 committee members. Then we had our 4th committee meeting, assignment 22-091, appropriation of funds of tax funds. And so this is what we do every year as well. It turns out that people want their tax refunds, and so we have to appropriate that. And I believe that is all that Finance has tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Parks and Recreation Committee with Ms. Henderson.
Thank you, President Geringer. We have no items on the agenda tonight. We did have a committee meeting this evening regarding assignment 22-093 regarding an increase in price for a lawnmower that was ordered in 2019, and due to inflation, the company that we ordered it from came back and there was a price increase, so we did appropriate the funds for that, or the committee moved it forward to go to legislation at our next meeting. Some good news, there has been a huge uptick in phone calls and emails and such to the Chillicothe Visitors Bureau. So that's exciting that we have visitors coming in. Sunflower Festival is coming up this weekend. And I think that's about all I have. Thank you.
Next, Safety Service Committee. Ms. Preston, in her absence, does anyone have a report?
Yes, President Geringer, I am going to take that. Safety Services has 6 items on the agenda tonight, 3 of which we were going to waive the 3-read rule, and it was just brought to my attention as an oversight on my part that because we only have 6 council members, we will not be able to waive any of the matters with a 3-read rule waiving. So that being said, I would like to announce Safety Services scheduling committee meetings on August the 1st, Monday at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Assignment number 22-059, VOCA Fund Appropriation Municipal Court Supplies. Also assignment number 22-089, Unclaimed Funds Appropriation. And assignment 22-092, Appropriation of Funds, Fireworks Payment. Again, Monday, 6 p.m., August 1st on those committee meetings. We also had a committee meeting Wednesday, this previous Wednesday, July the 20th at 10 a.m. 3 assignments were discussed. 22-069, Nuisance Code Enforcement Update to Cutting Grass. We have decided to take some of the nuisance issues in the city and do them one at a time to simplify things. So this is part 1 of a 3-part update, again, regarding cutting grass. First part was worked on with Chief Myers. The committee approved this. Assignment 22-084, Police IT Position. The growing need for information technology and all the things that are going on, we are requesting that a position be added. This position will be spread out over 3rd in police, 3rd in fire, and 3rd in other city departments when needed. And then the committee approved that. Assignment 22-085, a cruiser build, B&C to convert new cars to police cruisers. The committee approved that as well. The livestock legislation, the Assistant Law Director Jason Miller has been taking on a lot of that, and this is one of the issues that has been committed. There has been some complaints and some suggestions here from the public and council, and so that is being reviewed at this time, and we'll be back on legislation when that is looked upon again by Jason Williams. Item number 1, Safety Services, is a 3rd read, an ordinance accepting and appropriating $500 from a stipend received by the police chief to attend crisis intervention training. Item number 4 is a 3rd read, an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $1,301.20 for police overtime. Agenda item number 5, 3rd read, an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $1,468.99 for the police department uniforms and body armor. Agenda item number 6 is a 3rd reading, an ordinance accepting and appropriating insurance reimbursement funds in the amount of $22,177 for the replacement of a totaled police department cruiser. Agenda item number 11 is a 1st read, an ordinance reallocating municipal court funds in the amount of $10,000 and declaring an emergency. And the last item, number 12, an ordinance amending section 121.03 of codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe and declaring an emergency. I believe that is it for Safety Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Engineering Committee. In the absence of Ms. Farrow, Mr. Farrow, does anyone have a report for that committee? As well as the City Services and Transit, also chaired by Mr. Farrow. Finally, Utilities Committee, Mr. Prohl.
The Utilities Committee has no items on tonight's agenda, so my report comes to a close.
Thank you. Next on, we'll move to reports from our officials. Our mayor, Mr. Luke Feeney.
Thank you, President Geringer. Speak in support of a couple of third read items tonight. I think that the Hope Partnership Agreement was the conversation around that and the work that the Hope Partnership has done is well documented. And I think that funding will make an impact on the community in a significantly positive way, and I would support that legislation. Item 2, I just want to point out that so this is essentially promising our membership for next year. And so what we will do upon the passage of this resolution is pass the resolution on to OVRDC so that they know we are signing up for next year, and then the appropriation actually comes in the 2023 budget. So just in case there was a question about when the actual money gets spent. And then just to report on some other city business, the first thing I want to talk about is, one, thank council for waiving the rules on bidding on the Water and Watt Street repair. We have estimates in, and today I sent a committee assignment request to council to move forward with the repairs. I suppose in a sense, despite the disruption to the neighborhood and the traffic and the problems, the extent of the damage could have been much worse. When they got in and actually ran a camera through this 21-inch sewer line, they discovered that, I'm going to paraphrase here and really probably botch this, but as the city engineer and utilities director has explained it to me, we have in this part of town relatively old sewer lines that are starting to essentially decay and break down over time. At the place where the sinkhole was, there was a complete sort of breakdown that caused the need for this immediate repair, caused the sinkhole. When we ran the camera, we discovered that further down the line, there's approximately 1,200 linear feet of pipe that is in essentially similar or soon to be similar state. And so the repair for just this little section would have been about $65,000 when you incorporate all the different cleaning and paving work that'll have to be done. To repair the entirety of this stretch, it's about $300,000. It's fascinating what they do. If you could picture, I didn't know this technology existed prior. I'm picturing digging up 1,200 linear feet of road and then laying new pipe. But essentially what they do is, and I don't know if this is the only company that does it, but apparently these guys do it well. There's some sort of rigid pipe that they essentially blow in to that 1,200 feet that as it unrolls inside the sewer line becomes rigid and creates a new liner. It's fascinating. And so we don't have to dig up the roads. I mean, the concept of digging up that much roads for that deep of a sewer line would be literally an unbearable cost for the city, especially anticipating the wastewater treatment project. In summary, we are recommending, I'm supporting the engineer and utility director's recommendation to do the entire repair at the price of $300,000 because we know that it will be a problem sooner rather than later. And that's in that committee assignment request, that's what I've requested. I've also laid out the alternative, which would be that $60,000 to $75,000 range. There's quotes attached in the engineer and utility director's supporting memo, but good work by everybody involved there, including council, to move quickly. And so I'm hopeful that at the next council meeting, those funds are confirmed. We had initially talked about a 60 to 90 day closure timeline. So essentially from the day it was closed, which I think at this point is about 50 days ago, maybe a little bit more, 55, we were anticipating that the road would be opened again within 90 days. It looks like supply chain and those sorts of issues are cooperating at this moment, so we're still hopeful that 90 days, within 90 days, that road is reopened. But we'll do our best to keep the community updated on that. We know it's an inconvenience right there at that intersection, and we're moving as quickly as we can. So that is in front of you. Another item that we also needed to waive those bidding rules on was the boiler in the city administration building. We got bids on that, I believe, not last Friday, but the Friday before. And it's a good thing we waived there because we had two bidders come back with the basically the same estimate of 14 weeks, which would put us at about November for getting a new boiler installed. Cross your fingers for a temperate October. And we will be coming to council for that appropriation request as well. So council's approved the mechanism to put the bid out. Now we're requesting the mechanism to pay. But both contractors know that, these are both sensitive issues, and we appreciate their attentiveness. Speaking of Watt Street, had a really good mayor's office hours there a week or two ago. My next mayor's office hours will be in Southern Playground. It is 3 p.m. on August 2nd. It's in a ward, but anybody can show up, come to ask questions, come to, we'll be outside. I probably won't have coffee this time, but chat, ask questions. The goal here is to come to neighborhoods, but anybody is welcome from any neighborhood. That same night, I talked about the last council meeting, but the National Night Out is a sort of the national focus is a police community awareness type of event. We're kind of expanding it here, so it is a police and community engagement, but we're also incorporating the fire department. So that'll be the evening of August 2nd. You can look for police department's Facebook page and the city's Facebook and website for more information there. Paving program. We should start to see paving work start to roll out within the next 2 weeks. The first thing you'll start to see is basically at intersections or corners, you'll start to see curb ramps start to go in, the ADA curb ramps. That's usually the first thing. And then paving will go from there. We'll get a list of the streets online. We're also optimistic that we can expand some of these streets. As you might imagine, with all the other inflation that we've dealt with, our original paving estimates have been reduced, but we're also hopeful that we found a grant source through OVRDC, which is that second read tonight, Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission. They are our liaison to the Ohio Public Works Commission, and we think we found a funding stream that might be able to expand what we're able to accomplish this year. And we are in ongoing conversations with Columbia Gas around, everybody's aware of all the problems on High Street and the work that's been done there. So we're in ongoing conversations there to roll that into the current paving program. So you should be looking for in the next 10 days this paving to start, or at least the curb ramps, and then the paving soon thereafter. And we'll try to communicate the best we can, road closures and that sort of thing. The crew that's coming through this year it was not last year's crew, but they have been several years. They're very good in working with the city on, when the roads are going to close. They'll be much more of a mill and pave in immediate succession, as opposed to mill several days, pave later, which is I think what we experienced some last year. Different companies have different methods, but that's what we should expect this year. Just reviewing my notes here. Looks like that's it. Concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to our auditor, Ms. Spetnagel.
I do not have anything, a report on any financial stuff today, but I do want to introduce Angie Park. She's our new deputy auditor. So she won't be attending every council meeting, but she'll probably be at all the finance committee meetings, and she'll be available for questions too throughout the week. So, and that concludes my report.
We'll now move to the law director, Ms. Villarreal.
Thank you. We do not have a report this evening.
We will now move on to audience participation. Council Rule 22 does limit each speaker to a 5-minute presentation and a total limitation of 15 minutes per any single subject. If you get to the point where you're getting close to 1 minute left, I'll try to indicate to you to summarize your presentation. And anyone who wishes to speak, we do need your name and address for our records.
Good evening. My name's Ed Kirker.
And my name's Nick Boer. I live at 2016 Owl Creek Road, Frankfort, Ohio.
I'm 3399 Owl Creek Road, Frankfort, Ohio. We are here with our new organization. We are First Capital Ruck 22. We're not here we don't need anything. We're just here to let you guys know we're doing a public service announcement of what you can see and expect and hopefully pass the word on. Again, we're having a Ruck 22 event. What that is, it is put 22 pounds on your back, march 22 kilometers for veterans suicide awareness that commit suicide at a rate of 22 per day. We were going to have one of our other guys here who's currently out trying to save somebody from committing suicide as we sit here right now tonight. So it's hitting us from all directions. What this event is going to curtail, I'll let him take over, is it's going to be 22K. It starts in the morning. Then there'll be 2 different 5Ks that'll progress throughout the day. And then for the so fat guys, there's 22 steps of reflection where you can walk up to your sign that says 22 veterans commit suicide every day. Go to the next sign, 56% are Army. Next sign, 23% are Air Force. Strictly fact. No hoopla, strictly facts of what's going on with the veteran suicide. At the end of the event, we're going to end up having a free concert from country music singer Ryan Daniels. All this is taking part down in Chiillicothe Park. So again, we don't need anything. We've already gone through the Parks Commission, everything. We're all set. We've got our permits. We've got our 501c3 or 509A2. This paper, that paper, that paper. We've already seen everybody done everything we could do.
We got $1 million life insurance through our insurance form on it. We got $1 million set up through it with Rick Lansing's going to help us out with that.
Right.
There's the part of it that actually we're a nonprofit 501c, and everything we got is going to go to a veteran, some type of where we can put the money to where that really needs to be at. And there's nothing, we're not in to make money. We're in here for donations of whatever we can get. And it's $22 to get into the event, or you can donate $22. And like I said, for the folks who can't do the 13-mile, there's a 5K. There's going to be 2 different 5Ks, and then 22 steps. It's just to bring awareness and get it doesn't, there's more people who these veterans commit suicide than there is in battle. They come home, can't figure it out, what's going on, and end up committing suicide. So the Army Reserve's going to be in it. We got to recruit people coming in. The VA's going to be there. We've got quite a few people that's really interested in this.
Probably another couple organizations you guys have heard of. One's local is Dress Right Dress. They're going to be involved on it. Burn Pit 360, they're kind of a national organization, and I'm still in contact, still talking with Phil Valhalla, which is, as you know, a very large organization, but we're still working on talking with them. Whether we get there or not, I don't know. But like you said, VA, the Army Reserve, all the recruiters, several different organizations are going to be there. Like the VA will be passing out gun locks, just different literature to help veterans or help people that don't know that veterans commit suicide at a rate of 22 a day, to give them, wow, didn't know this. But as we've gone around and we've talked to people, even, I'm a veteran, and even I didn't know, I knew that it was bad. But as you go around this city and you talk to people, people just start breaking down and crying. My brother committed suicide, my sister committed suicide, my cousin did. It's like, I had no idea that it has really, truly devastated this community as bad as it has. Our local Army unit has lost at a rate of 2 to 1, twice as many at home to suicide as they did at combat in Afghanistan. So when I first went in and mentioned it, they said, fat chance keeping us out of it. Absolutely. Come on in. So you're going to see all the Army walking around down through there. Everybody participating. Again, Ryan Daniels is an upcoming country singer. I think he's had 1 #1 song so far. He's stopping his tour. He's actually out on tour, but he's going to stop his tour down in Lubbock, Texas, and drive through the night, come up here and put this event on to drive back down for his next concert the next day. He's doing it all for free. But
we got pamphlets are going to be coming out. Going to be color. This is just one we had to print off, but the first Thursday we're going to be passing them out down there, and then later we're going to have a bigger one. So we put in businesses to bring awareness to it. Like it's October 15th. We're going to have registration for the long run at 8 a.m.
That was your 5 minutes. Thank you guys so
All right,
much.
thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Here's a phone.
Thanks, bud.
Hi, I'm Colleen Abafi at 1580 Orr Road. I wasn't at the last meeting, but the one before last when all the homeless people were testifying about their situation. I'm glad that you all decided to do a committee with the community action groups to see if they could come up with solutions, because we heard a lot of suggestions that night, like about housing homeless people in old school buildings, but no word of how to pay the utilities or the upkeep or take care of these things. I think really that a lot of local churches would be very willing to help out if they knew what to do, where to give their time and money, and that it was being used wisely. I know that a lot of these people are caught up in the drug scene. I know at least 3 faith-based groups that are helping out people. And I'm sure there are lots of others, but there's always a lot more people that are caught up in that mess, and it's hard. I know it is. We want to help them, but we do want to see them help themselves too. One man at the last meeting said it's no wonder they did drugs. They had nothing to do but watch the grass grow. But I see help wanted signs everywhere. And I don't know if you can't pass the drug test, maybe that's an issue, but I did hear that there are some employers that are willing to waive the drug test because they're desperate for employees. So I feel like if we can see people at least trying to help their situation, that would make us all more willing to do something about it too. We know throwing money at the situation is not going to make it better, and we know we can't expect the government, local, state, or national, to do what only Jesus can do for these people, for their hearts and their lives and their minds. But we can help them in all the things that we can do in the physical level. So I would just like to encourage you to let us know what's going on in the committee and publicize online or somewhere the places that we can give money and time and whatever's needed to be done so that we can help the situation too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now move on to old business. Does anyone have any old business that they'd like to bring up this evening?
Council President, it has been brought to my attention that one of the committed issues was left off of the agenda the last council meeting. So I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda from the last meeting to include an ordinance amending the section 541 .05 criminal trespass of the codified ordinance of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio.
Motion by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Prohl to
No, the last council meeting it was left off of the agenda.
I'm very bad at that. I was just trying to catch up, and I'll just summarize what I just heard. I was just confused because I thought they were referring to tonight's agenda, and I saw it on there, but what I heard was that we were talking about the previous meeting's agenda, which you were trying to amend, and now I understand what's going on. I apologize.
So, sir, the situation was the committed legislation, item number 2, ordinance amending criminal trespass from section 54105, was left off of the agenda at the last meeting. Even though it was committed, it needed to be itemized at the bottom. And so the request has been to amend the previous agenda so that that item shows up on the previous agenda, so that that makes the previous agenda functional, applicable. So seconded by Mr. Prohl. Roll call on the motion to amend the previous agenda to include committed legislation, item number 2.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Roll call on the motion passes. Any additional old business? Not seeing any. Participation or correspondence received by the clerk.
I've not received any petitions or correspondence.
Now to new business. Does anyone have any new business that they would like to bring up at this time? Mrs. Henderson.
President Garnier, I would like to give a little follow-up statement on, it actually has to do with Ms. Abafi's comments. So a follow-up statement on the committee that several of us had gotten together on exploring options for the homeless, which I think you had asked about last time as well, sir. So there is something called the Continuum of Care, which has not received a whole lot of publicity, but is a fantastic organization. So we are going to sort of combine the group of people that we originally got together that met last week with the Continuum of Care to hopefully add some additional flavor and kind of direction and momentum, if you will. So several of us have different assignments that we were given to do some research to help our homeless population and give them more options. So that's where we are at the moment. And the next Continuum of Care meeting is, I believe, August 6th. So that's kind of the update on that. Thank you.
We'll now move on to legislation. We have 12 items on our agenda this evening. And Ms. Moss, whenever you're ready, we'll start with item agenda number 1.
Item number 1 is a third reading of an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Hope Partnership and appropriating $20,000.
Roll call on the motion.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance passes. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is the third reading of a resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds in the amount of $7,709 as participating local funds for the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission on behalf of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio for the fiscal year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Roll call on the resolution.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Greg Phillips.
Yes.
The resolution is passed. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating $500 from a stipend received by the police chief to attend crisis intervention training.
Roll call on the ordinance.
Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance is passed. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $1,301.20 for police overtime.
Roll call on the ordinance.
Prohl,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Anthony Phillips.
Yes.
The ordinance is passed. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $1,468.99 for the police department uniforms and body armor.
Roll call on the ordinance.
Prohl,
Yes.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Greg Phillips.
Yes.
The ordinance is passed. Item number 6.
Item number 6 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating insurance reimbursement funds in the amount of $22,177 for the replacement of a totaled police department cruiser.
Roll call on the ordinance.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Greg Phillips,
Yes.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
That ordinance is passed. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating $80,000 for code enforcement and information technology services.
That item will move to the next agenda. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is the second reading of an ordinance authorizing the City of Chillicothe to apply for a loan from the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency to fund the wastewater treatment plant improvements, construction, and declaring an emergency.
That item will move to the next agenda. Item number 9.
Item number 9 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $12,265.36 in insurance funds received as security as the result of a structure fire at 97 King Street, Chillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
That item will move to our next agenda. Item number 10.
Item number 10 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $32,000 in insurance funds received as security as the result of a structure fire at 382 South Macarthur Street, Chillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
That item will move to our next agenda. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is the first reading of an ordinance reallocating municipal court capital funds in the amount of $10,000 and declaring an emergency.
That item will move to our next agenda. Item 12.
Item number 12 is the first reading of an ordinance amending section 121.03 of the codified ordinances of the City of Chillicothe and declaring an emergency.
With that, that will move to our next agenda. That's a completion of the agenda items. Is there anything additional that needs to be brought up at this time? If not, do I have a yes?
The auditor just asked me a question about item 1, that there may have been a small language change. And I just want to make sure that that was. I'm not sure what the details are. I just was bringing
I
it
know
up.
this morning that Teresa sent out an email to myself and Ms. Moss just clarifying that I think on the legislation it was it emailed out. It was the old, which had it. We don't even know where it came from. Linked up with the entry, the coalition, and then she.
Okay.
Ms. Moss said that she would then correct that and put it correct in this evening's. Is that?
That's what I'm worried about.
So-
If we needed to amend the legislation this evening to have the correct language,
Well,
I guess that's a question.
because
So it was already amended to have the correct language, and the corrected amended version was what we had tonight? Is that what I'm hearing?
I didn't get the corrected version. It still had that language in it, and I didn't get the email from where we
The ordinance that'll be signed tonight by everyone says an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Hope Partnership and appropriating $20,000. The correct paper that, like the correct ordinance that will be signed tonight, has the correct language on it.
I know we amended it to take out, because on the actual agenda for at least a read, if not on the second read, it still had the coalition language, and we amended that to remove that from the agenda reads. That's all I can really add to it, Deidre.
Yes. And what's your question, Crystal? Use your microphone.
I just want to make sure that we are passing it correctly because it was carried in tonight. Like, did everybody know that this was carried in and it wasn't like sent out with the original agenda with the legislation? So my question is, do we have to accept this piece of legislation that no one's seen until now, even though it was amended before? I don't know. I was just asking so we didn't get, because it's on its third read now.
Yes, good question.
So that makes sense. So if this version didn't get mailed on Friday, emailed with the correct language, I think the motion would be waive the 3-day receipt rule, then revote on this new language. Yeah. I think that, yeah.
Which we can't do because we only have 6 again.
So close.
Look, if I would have just kept my
So-
mouth shut, it would have been a problem next week. So.
Yeah, we were going to deal with it next week regardless. So what I'm trying to think through is like, we acknowledge that the vote probably was null, and so is there a procedural thing to undo that? Probably, or I don't know.
Did we just put ourselves in I wouldn't say a quandary, but just so for those of you out wondering what we're mumbling about, it's when you don't have a certain number of individuals of the 9, there's certain things you're limited to do. You can vote, obviously, we've done this evening, but you can't waive 3 read rules, 3, 72-hour, 3-day receipt rules. There's things you can't do. So we've passed something, but we want to make sure that it's the language is appropriate. So we're trying to figure out, since we just passed it at its third read.
I think
we could vote to not read it and just have it listed as not read. Not include just void the vote that we did and vote for it to be not read. That way it goes to the next agenda at third read.
Still at a third read. So I will make a motion to unread agenda item 1 and make sure that the language that is sent out is and good catch, Auditor Spetnagel. Thank you. Once we got kind of figured out what you were saying.
And my apologies. That was
Listen,
on me. My bad. My
for the life
apologies,
of me,
guys.
I have no idea where those 2 things got married. I don't know if it's from an original request, because that was the first request that I received. I think it was in January. It was almost maybe one of the first ones you sent out. I don't know. It's just so it has been strange. So that's my motion.
I will second that motion.
The motion by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Ms. Henderson to unread item number 1. Roll call on the motion.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Oh, yeah.
Henderson, Henderson,
Yes.
Park,
Yeah.
Greg Phillips,
Yes from the first time and yes now. So
Prohl.
Yes.
The motion is passed. Any additional items? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? A motion by Ms. Nickerson, seconded by Mr. Phillips. Roll call on the motion.
Anthony Phillips,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Park,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Nickerson.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Have a wonderful evening. Man, if only we would have canceled one of these meetings. If only we would have canceled one of these meetings.
Only.